I was once in the presence of a very prominent business leader, and they wanted to show us pictures of their grandchildren. So he reaches into his pocket, he pulls out his smartphone, and I was amazed because not only was the smartphone an older smartphone, but it had a cracked screen. But yet, this prominent businessman loved his family so much that he was scrolling through the pictures and the pride and the joy that he expressed while he was beaming as he showed us pictures of his grandchildren. What an amazing moment. Sometimes I've been driving down the interstate and a pebble from the car, from up underneath the car ahead of me, has flown up into the air, hit my windshield, and cracked it. But when I pull over and I think about that divot or that crack that's in the windshield is still relatively safe, and I can see out of it. I can still see all of the beauty that surrounds me of God's creation. Now, I'm not telling you to practice unsafe driving by driving around in your cars with a damaged vehicle or a damaged windshield that could be a serious detriment to your safety or the safety of those around you or the ones that are riding with you. But what I am saying, that it's not impossible to drive around with a cracked windshield. But when I thought about it from a spiritual perspective, that's kind of exactly what God did for us. He looked down and he saw us as cracked individuals. He saw us as distorted. He saw us as depraved and all of our issues, all of our flaws. Sometimes we think we got it together and that we're all that and a bag of chips, but when we open the bag, we're just cracked chips. But God, through the redemptive power of his Son, Jesus Christ, through his death, burial, and resurrection, he died for all of us that had all of those flaws. There's a song, or there's a saying rather, that he looked beyond my faults and he saw my needs. And I don't know about you, but I'm glad the closet door stays locked up with all my faults that maybe hadn't even been exposed. But that is the goodness and the grace of God. I want to share with you out of 1 Corinthians chapter 15 what the Apostle Paul had said as he was inspired through the Holy Spirit. And I'll start with verse 9. He says, "For I am the least of the apostles, who am not worthy to even be called an apostle, because I persecuted the church of God." If you know the story, Paul, who we call Saul, who started out as Saul, he persecuted Christians. He persecuted the church. He was on the road to Damascus, and God saw fit to change his cracked life. But verse 10 says what I love: "But by the grace of God, I am what I am. And his grace towards me was not in vain, but I labored more abundantly than they all. Yet not I, but the grace of God which was in me." My brothers and sisters, we are filled with the grace of God every day, even every moment that we get a chance to do this. It's God's grace that has set upon us. And as Paul said in verse 8, the very last part of verse 8, he says, "I was one born out of due time." Even though Paul had all those cracks, even though you and I have all of those cracks, out of due time, God has rescued us. He's done a great thing in our lives, and he has enabled us to be cracked windshields, walking around, beaming forth the light of Christ. Listen, put your lights on. Make your light so bright that somebody's got to put a pair of expensive Ray-Bans on their face just to see you. When God walks in, he's walking in with you, in you, and through you. So let me ask you, are you a cracked windshield? Yeah, I think we are. But it's not impossible for God to do his great thing in our lives. God bless you. Thanks for watching this week's Midweek Manna. If you feel the need to share, subscribe to this YouTube channel, or like it on Facebook, it doesn't matter. Whatever you do, just show forth the love of Christ to somebody today. God bless you, and until the next time, take care.